One thing I've realized is that the way you start your morning really matters, because it can either make or break the rest of your day. With that in mind, here's exactly how I start my day to set myself up for success. Alright, so this video is going to contain two main parts. The first is going to be a step-by-step walkthrough of my entire morning routine. Then we're going to take it and break it apart, and I'm going to explain the logic of each of my habits. As always, feel free to jump around the video. All of the timestamps are down below. And if you're new here, my name is Mike, a biohacking nerd who is currently based in Poland. And on this channel, we're all about exploring how to become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And also, I've noticed that only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you have a second, please subscribe down below. I would really appreciate it. And you can unsubscribe at any time. All right, let's jump right in. So my day usually begins around 6 a.m. when I naturally just wake up. After a couple of minutes of letting my mind wander, I'll usually ask, "Hey Siri, what time is it?"
It's 6:02 a.m.
Then I'll plop out of bed to relieve myself and track my current weight. From there, I'll head over to make my bed, pop some Qualia Mind, and start rehydrating myself with my 1-liter Hydro Flask. By this point, I'm usually starting to crave a cup of coffee, but know that I'm not allowed to have one yet, which leads me to start my Wim Hof technique with some breath hold work. Then I'll nervously head over to the bathroom for my inevitable cold plunge, but before doing so, I clean up my beard. After doing so, I finally mustered up the courage to start my cold shower and turn on the water. Once I'm done with that, I toss on some Naural Deodorant to make sure that I don't smell like a troll, and giddily reward myself with a piping hot cup of coffee. Then when I'm done, I pop a spoonful of coconut oil into my mouth and put on my shoes for my meditation walk. That means no phone, just good old Mike and his thoughts. After about 20 minutes, I'll find myself back at home in front of my desk where I'll open up my Notion routine and start journaling, which consists of my morning pages and the 5-minute journal. Then I'll switch over to my visualization practice where I imagine successfully completing my step-by-step plan for the day. Finally, I'll do a quick language learning memorization session with my flashcards and RemNote to get my brain firing. And by this point, I'm ready for the day and roll right into the first task on the list. Alright, now I want to give you guys a deep dive into my routine and why I do the things that I do. And not to mention, this routine is constantly evolving, so if you have any recommendations, please comment them down below. I'd love to hear from you. So for starters, waking up at 6 a.m. is pretty standard for me, and it's made easy because I make sure I consistently go to bed at 10 a.m. That's based on my Oura Ring data and a recommendation of what it thinks is best for me. And to quickly emphasize this, don't get up early if you're not going to bed early. You don't have to be part of the 5 a.m. club or the 6 a.m. club if you're getting 5 hours of sleep. That is not ideal at all, and your body is not gonna thank you for that. It's not like you're miraculously gonna have more time in the day. You're actually gonna be way less effective, so please get your beauty sleep. And in this case, I'm specifically asking Siri what time it is because I'm not allowed to use my devices until later on to the routine. This is specifically designed because I want to have some mental downtime where I can just let myself kind of digest everything and think without being a cyborg. So I'm measuring my weight every single morning because I'm trying to gain weight. It is almost impossible for me to do that, so I'm trying to make sure I'm meticulous and I can see my progress over time. I believe in the whole concept of what gets measured gets managed. I heard about this from Tim Ferriss. He heard about this from Peter Drucker, who was the original creator, but it can be applied to almost anything in life so that you can actually accomplish what you want and see the progress along the journey. So when it comes to my bed, I make it every single day. And I originally was the person that didn't understand why the heck we should be doing this in the first place. It just seemed like a waste of energy to me because we're inevitably going to get back into our bed and mess it up at the end of the day. So the idea here is it's building positive momentum by checking something off the list. And not to mention, if you have a crappy day, you have a nice cozy bed that's inviting and ready for you. Next, upon waking up, I'm drinking a ton of water. Usually it's around a liter. And the reason for this is while we sleep, we're actually using a ton of water. And usually I'll add some lemon and a pinch of sea salt to help out my electrolytes. And then you can see I'm specifically using a Hydro Flask, and this one is actually 1 liter. The reason why is it makes it easier for me to measure how much water I'm having throughout the day. Also, it's bigger than a conventional water bottle, so there's less friction for me having to fill it up progressively throughout the day. Now we've got something to wake me the heck up and get me going. And no, it's not coffee, it's Qualia Mind. It's the nootropic stock that I'm using at the moment. I've actually made a video on this, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. It'll be somewhere on the screen or linked down below in the description. But the long story short, it gives me this sick cognitive boost, and I feel like I'm in this like super mindful meditative state throughout the entire day, and I'm easily able to just like dive right into work, and it doesn't have any crashes associated with it, like having a crap ton of coffee, for example. So this habit's actually quite new, and it came from an experiment that I just did recently where I pushed myself to do the Wim Hof technique for 7 days, and I ended up deciding to keep it in my morning routine because I freaking love it, even though it can sometimes really suck. And when it comes to the breath hold retention side of things, a lot of people are gonna be like, yo, why are you holding your breath? Can't you like die or pass out or faint? The idea here is I learned about the benefits in a book called Boundless by Ben Greenfield, and it's essentially inducing a state of hypoxia, which is slight oxygen deprivation. And there's a ton of benefits, which I'll put up on the screen here, but it can just do some good stuff for you. This is essentially going to put our body into survival mode, just like what sauna therapy or the other part of the Wim Hof practice, the cold showers, which would be cold thermogenesis, is going to do to our body as well. Then we've got oil pulling. This one is going to be used with extra virgin coconut oil, where I'm just going to plop the whole knob in my mouth, and it's going to help remove bacteria from my mouth, promote healthy teeth and gums, and naturally whiten my teeth, which so far has worked like a charm. I do this for about 10 to 15 minutes where I just swish it around, and supposedly this can actually work better in most cases than flossing your teeth. And then from there, I'll make sure not to swallow it and actually to spit it into a garbage can. The reason why is I don't want to be swallowing any of the bacteria or buildup that's in my mouth, and also I don't want to be clogging the drains in my house. I've done that before, and I'm sorry. Next, we've got trimming my beard. And if you've got one and you've got sensitive skin, this one is going to be game changing for you. So insert a foil razor. And these things are freaking awesome because they'll make your skin nice and smooth and get rid of all the little tiny hairs. So when your hair has used the normal trimmer and it's at its shortest length, that's when it comes in and does the magic. And it's super quick, easy to use, and I'm not kidding, it literally makes it look like there's no hair there at all, and you don't get any nicks, so why not? Also, as a general rule, I always like to keep myself well groomed, and the reason here is I'm a strong believer of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and one little crack in the iceberg just kind of cascades everywhere, so I try to keep those as tied down as possible. Alright, so now we've got the inevitable cold shower, which always frickin' sucks. It never gets easy, but I have a way to actually make it easier. So what we can actually do is we can provide a reward for ourselves at the very end of doing the action. So this reward is going to be a piping cup of hot coffee, and I'm not allowed to have one until doing this, so I usually get this shower over quite quickly because I'm very much so craving my morning coffee. I highly recommend try using this out with other things that you deem as a reward. It's super effective, and I always get in my cold shower. Once my cold shower's over, I'm plopping on some natural deodorant, specifically natural ones because I want to stay away from toxic and parabens that are in more conventional deodorants that have been messing me up in the past, just blocking the heck out of my pores. And if you sweat a lot like me and have some natural odors, you're definitely gonna wanna get a good version. I was using some other ones in the past, and let's just say you didn't want to be standing anywhere near me. But luckily I found this sick article by Dave Asprey that has 10 different ones that he tried out. He suffers from the same stuff as me, so that's how I found Kopari, which is what I'm currently using, and hopefully you can find out something that works for you as well. Now we've got the best part of the morning. I freaking love coffee. I've said it so many times now, but who the heck doesn't like coffee? Oftentimes I make it a bulletproof version as well, just by adding in some coconut oil. Sadly, I can't have ghee anymore because I've recently become lactose intolerant, and then I will just spin it all up and I have my goodness ready to go. The main benefit that's coming from a bulletproof version is going to be better managing your hunger and actually your energy levels. And plus, if I'm ever hungry throughout the morning, which is basically never, this is going to help make me more satiated and ensure that I get through my 16 to 8 hour fast. Additionally, if you want to learn more about coffee, like things how there's mold in majority of coffee in North America, be sure to check out my video of how I went 30 days without having any coffee. God damn, it was freaking hard. Man, I'm realizing that I'm recommending like basically every video on my channel. I guess I've just made one on all of them and I've smashed them all into my morning routine. Now we've got a meditation walk. I got this idea from Ryan Holiday, specifically because I don't want to be using my phone first thing in the morning, and I'm now meditating closer to nighttime just for other purposes. But the whole idea here is no technology, just lots of thoughts and being mindful of my surroundings. For reference here, this is the last habit before I'm actually allowed to start using my devices, so I've gotten a pretty decent amount of time here. Usually it's around an hour. Next, the rest of the routine is going to be living on Notion, just because I'm an extremely big Notion nerd, and one, all of my life is on there, and two, making templates has just made my life super freaking easy. I'll then do the first thing that's on my Notion template, which kicks off my journaling process, and that is my morning pages. Once I'm able to just brain dump the heck out of everything that's going on up here and add everything to my inbox database, I then move on to the 5-minute journal. And this consists of a gratitude practice and figuring out what's the most important thing that you need to get done for the day. To do this, you actually want to use Gary Keller's The One Thing, which is going to be the focusing question. And that is, what's the one thing such that by completing it, everything becomes easier or unnecessary? And if you haven't checked out the book yet, I highly recommend doing so. And now we've got my manifestation practice, which means I'm going to go to my visions page, which is categorized in 7 different areas, and I'm going to go down it step by step, visualizing each of the things as though they have already happened in real life. This whole idea is very similar to the law of attraction and works because of a thing called reticular activation, which is a system of neurons that's in your brainstem, which allows information to come in and be rejected. So the more you think of something, the more rocks you're putting on that side of the scale, and the more likely you're able to capitalize on something that comes up in the future. And what's awesome is you're directly able to manipulate that system by thinking about things more often. And the brain is unable to distinguish between reality, your thoughts, and your dreams, at least from what I've been told. This whole idea to me is super interesting, and out of all the habits you see here, this one is going to be the most important. Almost every successful person has had some manifestation practice in one way or another. All right, and because I feel like this is so important, I want to give you guys actually a little bit of a push. I'm going to put the 7 categories here on the screen, and I want you to pause the video right now and just take 30 to 60 seconds to just brain dump each of the areas, and then immediately visualize these things coming into fruition at the current moment. And don't worry, I'll still be here once you're done. All right, I hope you guys were able to do that. I'm serious, just do this first thing in the morning, and I promise you, it'll literally change your life. It is seriously like cheat codes because you experience everything in life with your brain as the foundation. And I learned about the importance of this from Dan Vass, and since actually applying it to my life, it has just changed everything. Similar to the other practice, we've now got a visualization practice, which is going to be on the specific day at hand, and it's going to be an execution based on the plan that you've made the night before. This doesn't always happen for me, and yes, in an ideal world, I have done that during my evening routine, but sometimes I just do it first thing in the morning, but as long as it gets done, it's okay. And the reason this worked is based on the exact same principle as the one before. And the whole idea here is consistency over a long period of time is going to drive results. So if you're able to execute on a daily basis, you're just going to make it more likely that you're able to take your future goals and make them your current reality. And this practice was taught to me by the one and only Notion's system thinking wizard, August Bradley. Oh, and by the way, if you derail throughout the day, which means you're not on the specific plan for the day, don't worry at all. Just pause, do the exact same exercise again from the current point that you're at, and continue your day. All right, we've got the final one, which is going to be 5 minutes of quick language learning. And the whole idea here is to stimulate my brain to actually get going. This at the same time builds momentum, again, checking something off the list, and allows me to be consistent with language learning, which is one of my goals, to learn Polish. And unfortunately, language learning is quite hard for me, or so I think. So this is the low-hanging fruit that I can be consistent with. And by the way, to figure this out for myself, I asked myself the question that comes from Tim Ferriss, which is, what would this look like if it were easy? And doing that has allowed me to apply tools to my life to make things more successful. All right, well, that's the whole routine. I roll right into work and start getting shit done. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoy that, and it serves as a recipe book for building up your own morning routines. Pick and choose what you like, but again, as I recommended, the manifestation practice is going to be my favorite. And if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to check out my video here about sleep tips and how you can start improving your sleep tonight. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.